What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp, and Elgato just released their webcam. It was only a matter of time. This is the Elgato Facecam. The Facecam webcam. So in this video, we're gonna go through it all, talk about the webcam itself, do a whole demo and a test for you guys so you can see how it looks, how the webcam actually performs in low light with a green screen, show off their software, all the adjustments, all that good stuff in case you're interested in the Elgato Facecam. So let's be honest, if one company's gonna do a webcam right, it's probably gonna be Elgato. They're a leader in the streaming scene, tons of useful streaming products, so that's why I said it was only a matter of time before they gave us a quality webcam. But is it quality? So first up, just taking a look at it, it's actually a little bit on the bigger side, you know, kind of bulky. It's not a small little flimsy webcam. This thing's got some heft to it, and check out that lens. So this is Elgato's prime lens. It's an f2.4 24mm focal length. They say it's got 18 anti-reflective coatings to the lens, also an IR filter inside, and it's actually backed and powered by Sony with their Starvis CMOS sensor. This is limited to 1080p 60 FPS, so it's not a 4K webcam. We're not there quite yet. It would have been nice, but unless you're Mia Malkova, I don't want to see you in 4K. Who said that? I mean, let's be real. Odds are if you're streaming, you're probably gonna be in a small box in the corner anyway. 1080p is fine, unless you are doing a big ol' 4K hot tub stream, and then maybe that'd benefit. But again, 1080p 60, I'm fine with it. Now, also taking a look at the Facecam itself, as you saw on the backside, it does connect via USB-C. They do include a nice long cable for you so you can connect it to your PC, power it that way. Also included inside the box was a little lens cover. Nice little addition, yeah. It does come with their own detachable mount. There is a 1/4 thread on the bottom, so you could use your own mount or a ball head. The mount itself, you can see, is definitely made to go like around the back of your monitor. You are kind of limited in terms of actual flexibility though. It really only goes, I'd say, about 70 degrees in terms of verticality. And you can move the webcam left and right on the actual mount, but then you're gonna either loosen it or tighten it some more. And when it's all set up and ready to go, you'll notice a little blue tally light off to the left side of the Facecam, letting you know we can see you. All right, let's see how this thing looks. All right, so to demo the Facecam, we'll bring you through the Camera Hub software, which should look pretty familiar to you. You know, it's laid out very similar to other Elgato software out there, so you should feel right at home. On the left side, you have all your adjustments for the picture quality in the image. On the right side or in the middle here, your video previews, so you can see how you look and your adjustments real time. You're probably noticing that, you know, we're not in the studio downstairs, I'm in a different environment. And this is sort of best case scenario because I've got lighting over here, got a big window over here, so lots of natural ambient lighting, which is what you want because, you know, lighting me, the subject, is just as important as the actual camera is. So like I said, best case scenario, I'll show you in a little bit when we're done with this, how this looks with, like, you know, keying a green screen. Or if you are in a dark, dimmer room, how it looks with that and how to kind of, you know, fine tune the camera to get the best image possible. But anyways, here on the left side for some of the settings, this is all stock defaults. You have your zoom or field of view, which is kind of just a digital zoom. You know, you're not actually adjusting the field of view of the lens or anything. So yeah, all digital, not too good. You're gonna get a lot of, you know, noise introduced for this image. It looks kind of fuzzy and distorted. For your picture settings, you know, you want some flat contrast, more punchy contrast, change your saturation, all that kind of stuff. And say you really hate what you did, it looks terrible like this does. For each of the settings, you can hit this little button right here and it'll bring it back to the default picture. One thing that is always on by default, obviously, is exposure. This, though, I would turn off and then sort of adjust sort of accordingly to your environment. So in this case, you know, since we're at 60 FPS, the 1/25 isn't too bad, but I would definitely lower the ISO, you know, maybe to around, yeah, that looks pretty decent. Well, if you want to keep it on, you can then just adjust the compensation tab, which kind of, you know, does the same thing for lowering your ISO, if you will. So, you know, let's just go there for now. Another thing turned on by defaults that I would definitely also recommend changing is the white balance. So you can see right here, it definitely looks kind of warm. You know, the wall in front of me is kind of like cool tones for it. The wall behind me here looks kind of yellow, which it's really not in real life. So we're gonna take the white balance off. And you can adjust the color temperature from 2800 Kelvin, very, very cool, to a 12,500 Kelvin, very, very warm. So we're kind of see what looks best. I guess right around there, around 5100 Kelvin, maybe a little bit lower. 4900 Kelvin. It's only adjustable in increments of 100, so you can't go like 4750, for example. And there's also no tint, which is kind of a bummer, because now this looks kind of, greenish to me. So I would love a green magenta tint to be able to adjust that. Maybe they can put that in the future. I'm sure they will, because now if I go back to, automatic, it looks a lot more magenta, right? So I could just, make that a little bit more green, but unfortunately we don't have that. And now it looks kind of green tinted to me. So their white balance definitely isn't there yet. I hope some updates in the future can kind of adjust that. Then you have the processing for noise reduction. So you can take a look right now. You can see like my hair kind of blurred a little bit. You turn it off, a little bit more detail there. So just kind of, reducing some of the grain and stuff in your image. And you also have things like 60 hertz and 50 hertz for the anti-flicker. So that's sort of just your quick run through of the settings. Some other things real quick, if you want to adjust the actual, they say video format, but your resolution, 1080p 60 is what we're on right now, 1080p 30, down to 540. And there's no way in the software to record video. They just have this little snapshot button, which will then bring up a snapshot, as you can see. So I would have loved to have in here some sort of way to record video. So for that, you're gonna have to bring it to OBS. So what else doesn't this have? You've probably noticed by now, nothing was mentioned in terms of autofocus, because this is a fixed lens. Everything is supposed to be in focus, they say. So for example, if I want to bring something up here, it's not going to be in focus. It's not going to breathe or adjust to try to get this in focus. It's just going to more so get everything in focus. And I say that's because if you're moving around your room, you're moving around the frame a little bit, you'll stay in focus, which is true. I got a fix for you in a second with that, but I would have liked to have had some sort of autofocus. If I want to bring something up close, it would focus on that, and it seems maybe around I don't know, what is that, 10, maybe a foot away from the camera is when things start to get in focus. So keep that in mind. And also, as you saw, nothing in terms of a background blur, nothing like that. So what we're gonna do is bring this on over to NVIDIA Broadcast. This is definitely a good tool that I would recommend you have along with this. And that's going to get you a better, quality image, I'd say. And in order to do that, I believe I have to exit out of this. So we're gonna do that real quick. Kind of just give it a little refresh. And there we go. So this is really what should be in with Elgato software. I don't think I can make this bigger either, so I'll sort of crop in so you can get a better idea of how the image looks. But here for effects, you can see background blur is on, and this is it by default. So you want it on to kind of, eliminate, kind of introduce a fake bokeh, get the background stuff out of the image so it's not in focus. So you're mainly focusing on me and not what's going on behind me. So you can adjust it a little bit. You want it to be just a very slight strength. You can do that halfway, all the way up. Definitely looks pretty good. And they also have things in the NVIDIA Broadcast for an auto frame. So it'll crop up on me. If I go over here, it'll, try to catch me, try to bring me in frame. Yeah, I'd keep that off though. But yes, these settings here with the background blur on, that should be a thing in Elgato software. Maybe they'll, bring that in the future. And then since you don't have control of the actual settings and stuff anymore, because the Camera Hub software has to be closed, they do still have this camera settings little button here, which will then bring up, some just minor adjustments, but pretty similar to what we saw in Camera Hubs. You can adjust, the brightness, all that kind of stuff, contrast. Yeah, so you still do have some control in here if you want to fine tune it some more. And when you're messing around in OBS and stuff like that, you still want some of that adjustment, you can still get it and adjust that all right through here. But yes, so pretty much what Elgato lacks in their software, you can sort of make up for with NVIDIA Broadcast and really take the image to the next level. Okay, so you've been seeing this image, the whole time in the small little window. Now to show you how it looks real time in OBS, what I'm gonna do is bring it up. We're gonna add a new source, sure, and not Sony Imaging. Where did it go? NVIDIA Broadcast. Yeah, so this is gonna bring up, the two effects combined with the background blur, and we'll see, is it gonna do it? Boom. I'm also just going to hit record so you guys can see how the video looks. and now this is how it's going to look inside of OBS. You can get a better idea of the image quality. So, some minor artifacting going on when I'm moving my hands and stuff and around my face when trying to detect that background blur. But when you combine the two software together with the camera hub and the NVIDIA broadcast, you can get a better image for sure. Then in here, if I want, I can even go in and adjust some of the picture quality even further with adding different filters. So this is where I could also go in and adjust things like the tint if I want. Just make it look even better for when you're finally streaming in OBS or Streamlabs, whatever you're using. But yes, when you combine the two software, you can definitely get a better image. And I'd like to see some adjustments and changes with Elgato's end. I'm sure they'll come with future updates. But is it DSLR quality? Not quite yet with the fake bokeh, but in terms of the actual video quality, definitely one of the best I've seen, and we're getting very, very close when you start to, get artificial stuff going on. But yes, pretty good so far. Now we're gonna bring it back downstairs, get the green screen up, and I'll show you how it looks with that, how we can key that, and also in a dark, situation where you're gonna need some more lighting, and how it handles a very dark, dim room. Okay, so now back down in the studio, and as you can see behind me, got the green screen up. Show you how that works with this. What you do, and pretty much it's going to be different depending on the software you're using. Filters, then we're going to add a chroma key, which is going to, again, key out that green. And I literally didn't have to do anything else. It just did it. And since the green behind me is all nice and saturated and pretty an even contrast overall for the green, as you can see, it eliminated pretty much all of it. So that was pretty easy. Now again, with something like this, what you would want to do is you could also go a step further and add a different crop, so that way it could just be me. So for example, let me go down here, let me find it real quick. Where is crop? Oh, second one. All right, so the crop looks fine. Resize it. Let me just bring up a background image, and then there I am in the corner. This is going to be obviously great for gameplay and stuff, and you could just be there in the corner, background perfectly keyed out. And this is also without the NVIDIA broadcast webcam settings set up, so there's no bokeh or blur being applied artificially. This is just straight out of the Facecam. Pretty good. Next up, let's ditch the lighting and show you how it acts in a dark setting. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is the result of absolutely zero lights on right now. And this is actually pretty impressive because looking at the image, I feel like it looks pretty decent overall in terms of, bumping up the highlights and giving me light when there is none in the studio. It's completely black in here. The only lighting really going on is just my monitors in front of me. And as a result, I think it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Now, you can definitely see there's a definite noticeable amount of grain and noise going on in the footage. And this is right now inside the Camera Hub software, a noise reduction is turned off. And just to show you, when I turn it on, since there is a lot of noise and grain, it reduces that pretty heavily. It looks kind of soft overall. So one thing we can kind of do to compensate for that is maybe turn the sharpness down in the software. It was usually at +2 and maybe like a +1. I think that kind of looks better. And also just for exposure, again, I think it's good. It's very bright, but if I want to maybe bump it down just a little bit, I don't know. I'm just really impressed with how it looks with no lights on. So now we can do a little test. We can add some lights just to show you, how it reacts. Worst case scenario. Real quick, I have some LED lights behind my monitor. I just pop those on, just add a little bit more. I have a little lamp next to my desk. That's turned off. Now I'm going to turn it on. You can start to see adding some more just light to the overall image in the background, but I'm staying kind of the same. I got a light over here. Again, still, I think looking better now. And honestly, in terms of like a skin tone and color overall, I think this looks a lot more natural than it did when I was upstairs in the cleaner office space. This here looks more, true to life in terms of colors and skin tones and stuff like that. And again, this is just adding minor lights around me. I don't even have the main lights in the studio on. So let me go do that. Okay, now all the lights are on, and you could see, I believe when this starts to get more light into it, and the less kind of work it has to do, when the color starts to get a little bit funkier, because now I can see it has a bit of more of those magenta tones to it. But still, as you saw, worst case scenario with it being very, very dark in here, it looked very good. It looked fine. It looked and handled the footage a lot better than I thought it would, and a lot better than I think most webcams out there would handle that. Last thing to do for this then would be just to see how it looks in with the NVIDIA broadcast turned on, just to see, again, with a minor bit amount of background illumination going on. And not too bad overall. Again, this is 1080p. If I wanted to, again, like we showed you before, make it smaller, it's going to look better the smaller and the more resized it is. So if I want to go in real quick and just reapply the filter that I had before, again, bring it back down. If I had gameplay going on or whatever, this looks more than fine. Pretty impressed overall. Okay, so at the end of the day, this comes in at $200. And let's talk about the pros, cons, my wish list, that kind of thing, of what I really think about the Facecam. And first off, just the actual image quality, very, very good. Yes, in some instances it's gonna be a bit, grainy and distorted. The color balance isn't quite there yet, but the actual image quality is pretty good for 1080p 60. And again, you're probably gonna be in a small little box in the corner anyways, so really no complaints on that end. Like I said though, I really wish they would sort of improve the white balance because it was just off in a lot of my situations, and even including something like a magenta to green tint would help a lot, sort of fine tune that color when you're not using it on automatic, Another thing, it's sort of minor, but because you can also just buy your own, but I really feel like they should have gave us a ball head to use this on. Like, they make ball head for their multi-mount, so why not make like a smaller one and kind of use that, so that way we can get a full 360, make this really flexible instead of just this. You know what I'm saying? Another thing, it's Elgato. Why not include a tiny little ring light? Like a little ring light built in around the lens. We know you can do it. They make their own ring light. They have the air light, the key light. They make a bunch of streaming lights. So it would have made sense for us a little ring light. It's not necessary, honestly. You saw how good it performed in low light as it is, but you can only benefit from a little ring light on here. Softer shadows with roll off on your face, that flattering reflection in your eye would have been nice. What else? I will admit 200 is kind of steep for it, but when you take a look at the entire webcam space out there, it's kind of booty. And this is definitely the best image quality I've seen, so they can get away with charging $200. Another thing I noticed in some of the shots is a slight flickering in the background, and regardless of the anti-flicker setting I had it on, it was just kind of, you could see it slightly pulsing. Kind of an annoyance, and I don't know what it was or what was triggering that. Another thing I noticed is on the corners, again, because it's a 24mm, it definitely starts to get distorted around the edges. Things get wider, and then as you get towards the center of the frame, it looks more normal, but definitely some distortion at the end. I know it seems like a lot of cons I'm saying, but again, I'm being sort of picky because, cameras and stuff is what I do, and webcams are an important aspect in this work from home space. So when we get a new one from a very good company, I'm gonna be a bit more picky on that side. And the last thing I'll bring up, which for me isn't really like a pro or a con, but the lack of autofocus might sort of, turn some people away. Again, with it being a fixed prime lens with everything sort of being in focus, that's gonna benefit you if you are moving around, but not if you're like doing, close-up detail shots of things. That's why I showed you the NVIDIA broadcasting where you can do that background blur and stuff like that. And I do think they should have some sort of implementation of a background blur in their own Camera Hub software. It would be cool to see, but again, it's day one launch. I'm sure their software is gonna expand, grow, and get better as time goes on. So honestly, I'm just really, really impressed with, like I said before, the image quality and how it performs in low light. And that, I think, the low light performance is the biggest selling point of this, because that means you don't have to have a ton of lights. You don't have to have expensive, rigs and things to make this, perform better. It performs pretty damn well in low light. So pretty good stuff. I'm pretty impressed overall. Again, yeah, kind of steep at 200, but given the webcam space, the Facecam, probably right now, your best option. And that'll wrap it up for this review. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to check it out, I'll have a link for you in the description down below. If you like this review, give it a big thumbs up, show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And last, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope y'all enjoyed. Have a good day.